Hey, 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 hey.
AJ want everything he can. I'll be the one to take the risk to go and get them bands. I'll be the one to never sit and go and make a plan. Knowing my mother getting older now, got no time. Gotta keep a couple for the road, the rest get left behind. Yeah. To the hundreds, pledge allegiance, I stand. I'm cold, pull four in the white sand. I give it all to this mic stand. If it's been done before, then I know I can. I'm on the rise, I'm trying to keep a level head. She want my time, she begging me to give me. I'd rather shed blood to the ground.
Okay. Yo, what's the deal, y'all? Hope all is well. Welcome back to another episode. I am Duke.
I'm Omar.
I'm Jalan, and this is another episode of the #1 podcast in Los Angeles. Fellas,
Woo woo.
nice and neat.
Yeah.
Hey, Wes, was that enough energy for you?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to, we got to make sure we bring that energy every single intro. Man, we I'm trying to see how we're going to jump into it today.
I can give you a great place to start.
Oh, where we going to start at?
First of all, before we even get to this episode, we're not just going to just breeze over what just happened this past weekend.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
This is, hey, look.
Okay.
Hey, look.
Hey, my dog.
We two down.
Hey, my dog came through, put it down,
Got that.
got his knee dirty.
Got that knee a little dirty.
Hey.
Hey man, hey look,
Hey.
hey these conversations gonna have to stop now. All of these comments gonna have to.
You have to
You
stop.
gotta put some respect on my dog's
man.
name.
Come on, man.
Hey.
Congratulations, bro.
Oh man, thank you,
Big
man. Thank you,
congrats,
oh,
dude.
man. Thank you, man.
Congratulations.
You and
Chanel.
Chanel, bro, on the engagement.
Man.
Oh, appreciate you, man.
Man,
Appreciate you.
that's such a beautiful moment, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Big fiance.
Hey, was you nervous?
Was I nervous? I wasn't nervous. I was a little overwhelmed, but not nervous. I felt confident.
Smooth.
This nigga was at my house rehearsing this shit.
Prepared.
Prepared.
All right. So no, I wasn't nervous, but just a little overwhelmed with everything that goes into it. But now that it's gone, now that it's over with, man. You know, you gotta talk to me different. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like, and I want to be careful when I use this word, but do you feel like a monkey is now lifted off of your back? Not that it was.
I know what you
burden,
mean, though.
But people, guys,
I know
in
what
this
you mean.
situation know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know what you mean. Do I feel like a monkey was lifted off my back, man? You know what? I honestly feel, I don't want to say a monkey was lifted off my back, but I definitely feel one step closer to being like qualified and certified to talk about everything we want to talk about.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know. Damn. Sorry,
She
my
calling?
My mom calling.
Oh.
My mom calling. But you know, I always feel confident in just my experience and things that we talk about on here. But when you take that step and you know make it official, right? It's like, all right, it kind of gives me more ammunition and confidence and more certification
And validity.
and validity to people who don't know me,
Yep,
right? Because
yep.
the people that know me know, okay, yeah, everything I speak is how I live. You know what I mean? Like, there's no confusion. I think everyone can agree. But the people that don't know me, don't know us, are just learning us, right? A lot of stuff we talk about on here are relationships, right? So people come on here and say, okay, well, what do these guys know? So, you know, being engaged, right? It kind of gives me, hey, yo, look, I know a little something. Now you can do what you want with it, but I know a little something. So I wouldn't say a monkey off my back, but if I feel more valid, yes. I feel more valid, yes.
Nah, man,
Yeah,
before we go
man.
any further with it, I just
Oh,
want to say I'm
man,
proud of
thank you,
bro.
man. Thank you,
that-
bro.
That was a beautiful moment, man. And
Thank you,
I'm
brother.
happy to share that with y'all.
Man, let me get my question in.
Come on, get it off. Come on.
No, you said this gal gives you more ammunition, and I mean, you my brother again. We
Yeah.
are, bro, excited, happy, can't wait to go through this journey. But I have to ask, what level of responsibility do you now feel to hold that ammo?
Yeah, the highest, man. The highest. I think when someone agrees to marry you, right, they're saying yes to your stewardship. They're saying yes to, you know, your covering, your guidance, all these things. So the sense of urgency and just the level of, you know, importance is just magnified, you know what I mean? So I do feel it. But I think I'm up for the challenge, you know what I'm saying? I'm equipped.
I think you are too.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
Yeah.
equipped. I really do believe I'm up for the challenge. I think I have I'm going to be a great husband, a great father, right? I feel like I have very great leadership qualities, not in the sense that, you know, I like being a boss. I don't care to be the boss, right? But when I say leadership qualities, man, I assume a lot of responsibility, and I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with that because I trust in myself, and I think my woman trusts in me. So I'm in a good place, man. I'm in a good place. But I just know that moving forward, everyone has to talk to me different.
Put some respect on my
Hey,
dog's
that's
name.
what I'm saying. Hey, yo, like everyone got to talk to me different. That's it. All right.
about to
So
play
all
with
these
y'all.
all these comments about
All three,
you know, all these comments talking about where the ring at, where the ring at, where the ring at. Just go to her page.
Bam.
Go to her page. Go check that thing out. You can't miss it.
You know,
You
it was,
can't miss it.
speaking to that, right? I feel like your engagement is now going to make a lot of people who were questioning why you weren't engaged, right? I think it's going to really make them look in the mirror, in a sense of why was your non-engagement triggering them so much? And
Yeah.
we created this platform not only to provide a safe space for us as men to speak, but for men's perspective that are doing the work to be better every single day, to make sure that we are not only considering intention, but we're considering impact, right? Because impact over intention. And yet we can still say something and things can get misconstrued, or we can be carrying out our lives in these ways that you're hearing after episode, and those thoughts that we have aren't being believed. And, you know, people could get triggered by some of the things that we say. And looking up what the definition of trigger was, trigger is a response, right? Trigger isn't just a feeling. Trigger is an actual response. And granted, I didn't go to school to learn this word or anything like that. A lot of us didn't, but a lot of people who went to school to learn these words did, right? They really studied this and what it meant and what it made people feel and how they responded and all of those things. And sometimes it makes me think in our episodes and when we say things and we're given our perspective as men, are people listening to fully understand and then respond? Or people are just responding from a triggered place? And we have comments, we have dialogue sometimes. Some things are just like, yo, I said what I said, so I'm not commenting back.
Yeah.
Like, but I truly want to know sometimes, are people really diving in to like, hey, yo, if this triggered me, if Duke not being engaged triggered me, where does that come from me? Because there's no way that you think about Duke when you're not seeing him on the camera, like why he hasn't done this. If Omar did something or said something that triggered me, why does it trigger me that Omar said that? Why does it trigger me that Jelon said that? Where does that come from within you?
It's a tough question to ask yourself, because I think to get to the answer, to the root of that question, you have to be willing to go back and dust off the trauma. So the trigger comes from trauma that was developed at some point in your life. And for a lot of us, it's very easy for us to compartmentalize trauma. Shit happens to us in our lives, and if it was bad enough, it's easy for a lot of us to say, hey, I really don't want to think about that anymore. Let me push it over here and not address it. But when things come up, like someone asking a question, or you see a clip from our podcast, and it reminds you of something that created that trauma in your past, and it reminds you of trauma in the past, now you're triggered, right? So I think the reason why people are struggle with that is because it's hard to go back and dust off the trauma, because the trauma opens up the wounds again. And until you're ready to heal and move past it, you really don't want to deal with that wound. You'd rather just put a Band-Aid on it and act like it never happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think, you know, if you want to stop being triggered, you have to address the trauma. Yeah. And until you address the trauma, you're going to constantly be triggered. That's my opinion on that.
I feel like,
honestly, that's actually what I've learned from the work that I've done on myself.
yeah, I feel like in my case, you know, specifically the question or the comments of, hey, why aren't you engaged yet, or why haven't you put a ring on it? I think that comes from just like being conditioned to like look at negative things. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I can say all these things that are great about my woman, about my relationship, it's like I think people naturally lean into like what's negative. It's like, nah, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I hear what you're saying. I hear you consistently talk about your woman. I hear that, I hear like I may even see you out in public with your woman, and I believe that you are what you are, but I'm still gonna say this because like it's the one thing I can lean into. Mm-hmm. Right? I just have to provide some type of, some type of negative perspective that makes people question if this is accurate, if this thing is valid. You know what I mean? I also think it comes from lack of emotional intelligence, because now I'm switching from not necessarily my engagement or lack of engagement, but more so the commentary we get from having our opinions out here, right? I think it comes from lack of emotional intelligence, in the sense that, a lot of people aren't emotionally mature enough to hear something that they don't agree with without feeling triggered. Right? Emotional intelligence involves you being able to hear things, whether it's criticism, whether it's fact, that you don't agree with, that you don't align with, and still being able to hear it and receive it and say, hey, I wonder why that person thinks like that. Mm-hmm. Or let me try to understand more about what this person is saying, as opposed to blabbing out whatever I'm blabbing out. Right? So at this point, right, being triggered and feeling triggered, you're not really doing the emotional work to overcome that traumatic, those traumatic experiences, those things you've gone through, right? So I think there's a number of things, man. But I personally, bro, like I don't pay attention to it too much, right? We just keep on trucking.
Yeah.
But and also we do gotta say this too, like, there's plenty of great comments that I see that's what I focus on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like all the people that leave positive remarks, positive comments, the people that champion us, the people that encourage us, the people that share our stuff. The people that share our stuff, those are the people we pay attention to. Right?
Oh, definitely.
All right. Those comments, those people are much more valuable to what we got going on than anything else. Right?
They help us push the movement.
We definitely gotta like always acknowledge that. So that's kind of why I don't really pay attention to that stuff. But I know it's there.
I think we all know it's there.
Yeah.
But like you said, what you kind of briefly touched on, we said what we said, so like it will leave it up to you guys to debate in the comments about whatever you want. But whatever we say, I think just try to have an open perspective. And if it is triggering you, like Duke and Jelon are saying, ask yourself why it's triggering me, and try to really identify what that trauma is, so you could be a better person and move forward in life.
And we're not even saying, no, I'm I'm not saying that all disagreement is bad, right? Because some people disagree with us, and I look at the comments and say, oh, that's a valid point.
I gave you some perspective.
Oh man, I love how they broke that down.
Yeah.
Right. But then some people just disagree, just to, and we're intelligent enough to understand like the undertone in comments. Right. Mm-hmm. And some comments have condescending undertones. Mm-hmm. Right. And they don't come with good intentions. They don't try to lead. They don't try to teach us nothing. They just try to embarrass or exploit, a mishap or misstep or something in our messaging. Mm-hmm. And I don't got no love for those people at all. You know what I'm saying?
I actually don't have no love for the people that come and leave negative comments that never decide to leave a positive one.
Or that never watched.
That never watched.
That never really watch.
Yeah. I mean, you judging us based off of 60 seconds, 45 seconds. You passing.
Let me ask you this. Do you think all publicity is good publicity?
I wouldn't say so. Not for me. Not for me personally.
You think all engagement is good engagement?
Engagement is a little different.
Okay.
Good questions.
What you think? What y'all think?
I think all engagement And when you say engagement, that doesn't necessarily mean the person who posted is engaging, but people are
Oh, you talking about around the post, right?
around
Yeah,
the post.
yeah, yeah.
I
Do you
think all
think
engagement is
all
good
engagement
engagement.
is good
All
engagement.
engagement is good, but I don't think all publicity is good publicity.
Right.
Okay.
Because I also believe publicity is directly affecting you. Engagement could be just gathering perspectives outside of what you got even going on. Like, I don't think engagement is when somebody engages with me about what I said on the podcast.
Right.
Now, but if people are at within their homes and around with their friends and having girls' night or having a fellas' night, and they be like, "Yo, I watched this. Like, what y'all think about this?" Right? And it's like, matter of fact, I don't agree. And it's like, cool, let's sit down and why you don't agree with what these guys said. I think one thing that's really important about our platform and that we don't see a lot of, so I feel like this is why a lot of the condemning kind of gets to us at times, is because I feel like we already lack a lot of spaces on where we could speak.
Yeah.
We already lack a lot of spaces on where we can express.
Talking about men.
Men, men, black men very specifically too.
Yeah.
I feel like we already lack a lot of spaces on where we can express our opinions and, this is my outlook on the world, and this is how I look at things. And everybody says when it's convenient for them and their feelings, like, nah, like, we want you to be more vulnerable, black man. Dude, we want you to be more vulnerable. Oh, we want you to be more vulnerable. And you explain around the things that they are combating. Like, I want to make sure that I'm in this position to make sure that the woman that I'm saying I want to marry is going to feel these things. I want to make sure I'm in that position. And it's, so why aren't you married yet? It's like, I kind of just. Okay, how do I say this nicer? Because we nice and neat.
Yeah.
Man, it's a
So
brand.
we
Yeah.
nice and neat, and we a brand. So, like, how do I say this nicer, right? And the nicest thing that I could say, I said already. So, like, I just can't reply no more. Now it's just like I said what I said. Like, now you got to kind of just wait and see, because if I engage with you, I'm allowing you to take away the safe space that we created.
Yeah.
Like, I'm now trying to let you have a piece of my opinion off of the safe space that we created. And now I got to think about you when I speak.
Yeah.
Like, it's not safe anymore.
Yeah, I think most people don't understand that, like, how you react to content, because everyone's relationship with content is different, right? How they receive content is different, but most people don't understand that how you react to the content says much more about you than the content. You know what I mean? So, like, a lot of people will perceive some things that Jalon said last episode is like, I don't know if they want to call it disrespectful, but it was completely, from me, from my perspective, and from many people's perspectives, it was just a normal take, a very just like respectful take, right? But the way people were triggered by it will make you think that he said something disrespectful. You know what I mean?
What post? What post we talking about?
Well,
What post we talking about?
we just watched it. Is it the wifey duty post?
Yes.
The wifey duty post, right?
Was a
wifey duty post.
It was a triggering episode.
I'm sorry,
episode,
y'all.
boy.
The wifey duty post. One of the wifey duty posts on Instagram. But a lot of people would take that and think it's like, oh, this dude misogynistic, or what are they talking about? Well, if you feel like that, you should look at yourself and say, okay, why do I feel like this? What's happened in my life that's making me feel like this is misogynistic, even though by all criteria, this dude's being respectful. He didn't call me out my name, and he's just communicating his opinion.
And
how does that equate to what you're talking
That's
about?
what I'm saying. People don't want to dust off that trauma. People don't want to go back and, bro, when you dust it off, it's ugly. It's ugly, bro, and it's gonna hurt. It's painful, and they gotta relive that shit. And people just rather not. People just rather not, bro. That's because that's the easy thing to do. And 9 times out of 10, I would say most people in America are going to lean into the easiest thing to do. It take a special individual, right? And I'm looking at them to say, oh, that's something hard. Let me lean into that. Let me not run away from the hard shit, because I know what's on the other side of the hard shit is beauty. It's beauty. It's bliss, right? That's the only. In order for it to be beauty, you got to go through pain. Right, you got to be willing to walk through that. So I think again, just going back to that, people are just scared to dust off the trauma, bro. And until they do, they're gonna continue dealing with it.
Or just confront the feeling they
don't want to confront it.
Like, and maybe I told you guys, we probably all have an example like this, right? A couple years ago, I was younger, maybe like 23, 24, I would see this one particular person on Instagram, right? He's a guy. And when I look back now, he was always fresh, right? He was always just like well dressed. He was always, he just looked popular, right? I see him on Instagram, and I always was like, yo, it's something about him I just don't like, right? I would just always say that it's something about him I just do not like, but I really didn't have any tangible reason to dislike him. You know what I'm saying? It was just something in me that was maybe jealous, that was triggering me to have that feeling, right? Because when I asked myself, yo, why do I dislike this dude? There was no reason. He didn't do anything to me. He didn't disrespect me. He didn't offend me. I just didn't like him because he was rubbing me the wrong way, right? But he was only rubbing me the wrong way is because there was something in me that I hadn't fixed. So the way I received him and his content was negative, right? And I think that's what most people need to do before they get on anyone's platform and start typing any negative words, right? You got to ask yourself, yo, like, is this disrespectful? Or is it triggering me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just don't like it.
Or I just don't like it, or it's triggering me, because it's two different things, right? And just because you don't like something and something doesn't align with you does not mean what's being said is wrong or toxic. You know what I'm saying? It's two differences, and you got to make that distinction, right? Before you just run on people's comments talking negative, right? And I don't think people want to do that.
Yeah.
That was.
You know what I mean?
Good. You know that was good.
You know what I mean?
You know that's good.
You know what I mean?
Boy, feel like
Just one step back from it.
I mean,
You
you
know
know,
what I mean?
he got his cape on. Your boy
Big
got his-
fiance.
He feeling good.
Big
now.
fiance.
Big fiance.
Big fiance.
Fiance in the building.
Big provider.
Oh man, so okay, cool. Matter of fact, I do kind of want to like jump into that a little bit. I think it's exciting. I don't want to brush over that at all, bro. So like, man, like what are your plans? Like you a fiance now. Like how you wake up feeling in the morning? Like what did that look like? Do you feel like, okay, I got to do this today now. I got to lead this way. I needed it to look like this. Or is it just kind of like I'm just in the ebb and flow of how things would go?
It's like this. It's like you know how during the season you play really hard and you give it your all during the season and you give 100% during the season, but then you make it to the playoffs.
You give it 110.
And then that 100, you still give 100%. That 100 just feel different.
Yeah.
It's like that.
100 is
It just it feel different. Everything I feel faster, stronger. It just feel different.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I feel like it's we're in the playoffs now, right? So we close.
Getting to the chip.
We close.
Getting close.
You know what I mean?
Hey, you know, it'd be funny about getting in the playoffs, getting the next level. The dude who might have been quiet all regular season,
Yeah.
oh, he yelling at people now.
Yeah,
For real.
Because now everything is like within reach, right? So the whole season, seasons be long.
Yep.
You spend all this time going through the season, your ups and downs, bye weeks, get through, then you get to the playoffs. First of all, you got to have a really good season to get to the playoffs. So I feel like I've done really good. All right. And now that I'm in the playoffs, it's just like, all right, cool. Nothing's changed. Everything's just a little more intense. You get what I'm saying? So
Everything's magnified.
everything's magnified. So I'm waking up more intentional. We're sitting down and saying, all right, look, I just got finished reading this book, The 12-Week Year, and it's teaching me how to maximize, trying to execute faster, right? So now we're sitting down and saying, all right, what do we need to do by this date? Are we doing these actions to make sure that we reach this goal, right? And I think that the intentionality part of it has kicked in, just add another gear, right? So whether it's self-help books like this, marriage books, planning to see marriage counseling, couples counseling, things like we
decided to do counseling?
yeah, we're gonna do it. Yep.
That's good.
So things like that, right? All those things that maybe we wanted to do are now in motion, right? So yeah, it feels good.
Did you always know you wanted to do marriage counseling, or this was something that you guys talked about as you guys started looking at marriage in the face? And you're like, yo, this is like, where'd that come from?
I never really thought about marriage counseling until maybe last year, early last year, or maybe like 2 years ago. After my first therapy session, once I realized how impactful that could be, I started thinking, okay, this could be good for us. So everything that's good for me, I try to take it and put it in our relationship and say, hey, this could be good for us too. So yeah, I didn't always think about it, but it's definitely mandatory now. Cause we were just talking about this. Like, it's great to have your friends who support you, right? And it's great for her to have her friends that support her. But sometimes you need people that only support your relationship.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Some people you need people outside of your relationship that's they're only interested in the best interest of your relationship. They don't care about how you
Success
feel.
of y'all relationship.
Right. They don't care about how you feel, don't care about how she feel. They just care about the relationship. Right. So that's why I think it's important to have couples counseling or marriage counseling.
Hey guys, we haven't done this in a long time.
What's up?
We haven't. It's been a minute. I've been seeing people ask about it, but I think this is a great time to do it. So let's do a dim the rules.
Okay.
Let's do a dim the rules. all
What
right?
you got? You got something?
I do got something, and it's simple, right? I know how you feel about it already, but we get to all talk about it now. So, and I feel like our audience can really take something from it. Counseling, couples counseling before marriage. Is it mandatory, or is it something that you can kind of go without?
I think it's mandatory. Here's why I think it's mandatory. Because hopefully, both of you guys are stepping into something you have never done before, right? And anytime that we've stepped into something we haven't done before, we've looked to mentors, coaches, teachers to guide us and help us, right? I don't think marriage is anything different. We don't have any guidance. We don't have any knowledge of it. So I think it's important to go seek somebody to help us navigate and help us learn how to effectively communicate through our marriage and within our marriage. I think without it, first of all, I think every couple will end up in it anyway. So I think to just be proactive
Instead of reactive,
I think it's beneficial and it's mandatory.
Yeah, same. Same. I think it's mandatory. Mandatory for me, because I think when you love someone, no matter how much time you guys spend with each other, no matter how great your communication is, there are some things that only someone outside of your marriage can bring out the questions. You know what I mean? So sometimes you think you know everything, you think you ask questions, but someone's like, nah, let me ask this question. And that's how people get in therapy and counseling and say, yo, we never had this conversation before. We actually never had this conversation. We could be together 4 years. We never had a conversation before, because maybe you thought it at a certain point, but because you feel like the timing's not right. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm not comfortable having a conversation with you. I don't think you're comfortable having a conversation with me, even though we really love each other. Those questions sometimes only get answered by an outside party or get asked by an outside party. So I think that's the important part of, couples counseling, because you just never know. You don't have all the answers. Like we don't, like, the best athletes in the world have coaches, right? It doesn't mean, and also the other thing is this, like, couples counseling, marriage counseling, it doesn't mean that your relationship is bad.
Nope.
It doesn't mean that you're struggling. It just means that, we're going to seek help to make sure that we stay on top of this relationship and that we sustain this.
And so we're equipped. Therapy gives you tools.
Yeah.
It gives you tools, bro. It gives you tools.
Right.
So, like, otherwise you'll go into a situation needing a freaking screwdriver, hammer, and not have that shit.
Right.
But when you go through therapy, you get those tools, bro. So when you have these particular situations that arise within your relationship,
Right.
you know how to handle them. You know what I mean? The right way, the safe way, in a safe space.
Yeah.
Oh, me?
Oh, you.
I think that therapy is mandatory. Let me not say I think. In my heart of hearts, how I feel, what I'll stand on forever. I believe that premarital counseling, premarital therapy, whatever you call it, I think is mandatory. I feel that way because, like, to Duke's point, whatever you guys talk about, let's say you guys talk about everything, there's still underlining things that you might not have said, or there can be ways that you can love your partner even deeper that you might not be able to uncover because somebody else can now come in and create a perspective for you. So one thing I felt that was super interesting from therapy is you can sit down with your partner and they can tell you something, and this now you guys can be in the room having a session, and they can tell the therapist, and the therapist can literally repeat back exactly what she said, and now you're like, oh. That's all you needed. That's what
crazy.
you wanted, and vice versa. Your partner can hear it come from somebody else, because when you are listening to your partner, your ears and your heart are involved. So it can permeate through your system differently than somebody who is just like able to just listen it. So my heart is involved, so my response may not be the same, but when they're able to just like listen, and then somebody else tells you who you're not involved with their heart, and they're telling you like, hey, yo, this is from what I'm hearing from your partner, this is what they need. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Usually when she says that, she means this usually, because you guys have a history.
Yep.
So your girl could say something and you are reverting back to the history. One thing that we learned in therapy that was just like so brilliant is the phrase up until now. So up until now, this is how you handle situations. Or up until now, this is how I would like to handle situations. So now that also helps you eliminate everything that you guys dealt with in the past before. It eliminates all the past misunderstandings that you guys have, because now we are exactly where our feet are at, and not having to account for what happened before and then try to make that relative to now. So if Omar is always late to something, he's always late, right? And then this time he's like, hey, yo, man, I had a family emergency. I wasn't to make it. And for me to discredit his family emergency, not knowing how serious it was because he's always late, I would have to, like, he can say, like, yo, up until now, bro, I understand what you're saying, but this is a totally different situation. This is totally different. I understand what you're saying up until now.
I like
This
that
is
up until
different.
Now. I like that.
I love up until now.
I like that, man.
Because I think the phrase is so important, because you also have to understand that when you are at a space of moving toward love, you have to understand your partner's not trying to be manipulative. We learn that, yeah, your intention matters, but it's really the impact that lands. So we can sit down and we could talk about, like, man, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. But like focusing on how it impacted somebody is important. A lot of times you might not find that out until you go to therapy. Because you could sit down and tell your partner, that's not what I meant. That's not what I was trying to do. And that's where you at, and you stand on that.
But it landed on her like that.
But it landed on her like that. It landed on you like that.
Yeah.
And your therapist, truth be told, you in therapy, who talks more, you guys or your therapist?
In couples therapy?
Yeah.
Us.
Exactly. All your
Us.
therapist is doing
It's listening.
is just helping you navigate
That's
through the
it.
same conversations that you're gonna have at the house. And while you're doing it, they're giving you tools, so when I'm not around, we can still achieve these results.
Yep.
And I think that is why, prior to getting married, it is so important. It is so important.
It's mandatory.
It's mandatory.
Mandatory. Well,
And then,
duh.
Rules.
okay. Before we wrap up though, right? Because we're not gonna let the guys off the hook. All right, because we see some guys making some crazy comments too. All right. If you in the comments, right, please do not base your experience, right? Don't use your experience to project onto us. All right. If you have traumatic experience with women, go fix that. All right. If I want to openly love my woman and talk about all the great things about relationships and all the great things about women and talk about, all the things I want to do for my woman, don't come over here and be like, oh, y'all soft and y'all simps, and don't do all that, right? Because it's a completely different ball game, all right? If you are afraid to be hurt, that's you. If girls didn't like you when you was a kid, that's you. If you struggle getting attention from women when you were young, that's you, right? But you need to identify your traumatic experience. That's not my reality. That's not my testimony, right? I have had you know, and thank God,
God.
I've had great relationships with women my whole life. So my approach to relationships is positive.
Yeah.
My approach to women is not based on, I don't move from trauma, right? So I'm not afraid to pour into a woman, right? I'm not afraid to pour into a woman,
Your fiance.
my fiance, there we go, right? No, I'm afraid to get hurt, right? I understand that being hurt is a possibility,
Yep.
but that's the risk we take. You know what I mean?
Part of the game.
And that's part of making strong investments, right? So if you one of them guys that's afraid to be hurt or you not moving the way that's cool, but don't project. Don't project. It's different over here. You know what I mean? I think, and I speak for these guys too, man. Like, we all moving the same, bruh. Like, we all moving the same. And if you're not moving, if you're not ready to step into like what I believe is another level of manhood, right, in adulthood, and you're not really to tap into the man that you could be, that's cool. But just understand that your experience is different. Your experience is not the reality for all men.
Man.
All right, your experience is the reality for you, and it's an exception for you. It's not the standard. That's it.
That was good.
Sound
Duke.
bite.
That was good.
That's
Duke.
it. That's it.
That was good, bro.
Fellas, what else we got?
After that,
I'm good.
We good?
Wrap it up.
Okay, so look, check it out. Really appreciate you guys for tapping in with us. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you thought. Ask a question, whatever. Make sure you follow us on all social platforms. Make sure you're subscribed to us on all streaming platforms. Follow us at Nice and Neat the podcast on everything. Follow myself at Duke on Instagram. Follow Jalan at just.jalan and Omar at omar.bowden. What else? New Law 17 trucker hats out available right now at law17.com. Use code Nice and Neat to get, I think it's 20% off right now. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it.
Until next time, much love, much gratitude. I'm Duke.
One more.
I'm Jalan. This is another episode of Nice and Neat, and that's that on that.
I'll be the one to take the risk to go and get them bands. I'll be the one to never sit and go and make a plan. Knowing my mother getting older, now I don't got no time. Gotta keep a couple for the road, the rest get left behind. Yeah. To the hunters, pledge allegiance, I stand.